All right, Feisties, Joanne is back. It's Kelly O'Mara, Katie's Affairs, Joanne Murphy back from your whirlwind adventure. Joanne, how many places did you go this time?
Just to 3 different countries.
Oh, okay.
So I started off, I was gone for 3 weeks. So I did Ironman 70.3 Knokke-Heist in Belgium on the Belgian Riviera. Races start in the Netherlands, in Sluis, and they finish in Knokke-Heist. And then I went from there to Nice, to the World Championship, and from Nice to Wales, to Tenby, South Wales. So I went from chilling at the end of the week in Nice to chilling in the Côte d'Azur to being chilly in Wales. It was a big change.
It was a change. I was watching some clip at the end of the men's race that someone had put up, and then in the background, I heard your voice. You were calling people in, and I was like, "It's Joanne."
Yeah, and actually, before we even get into the podcast, can I give a big shout out to the listeners who were in Belgium who came up to me and said, "We listened to you on the Feisty podcast." So a big shout out to that gang that came up and said hello in Belgium, because that was pretty cool. So I don't know where to start, Kelly. Like, Belgium was amazing. It's a 70.3 and a 5150. Really easy to get there, in a beautiful place.
Side point, they've been adding more 5150s back to races.
Yeah.
They just added one in Argentina. They have one in New Mexico. I didn't realize we were still doing those, but I guess
there's a few. And do you know what they do? They kind of allow people to, I suppose, dip their toes into the world of the Ironman brand of racing, because it is a 5150 race, but it is Olympic distance. So it's great for people who want to race. It's normally on either the Saturday or the Sunday. So if the 70.3 is on the Saturday, the 5150 might be on a Sunday, and vice versa. But so Belgium was fun. And then I landed in Nice, and Nice was just hectic. But it was amazing. And the racing was mind-blowing. Like, it was just so good. So good.
I don't want to hear about the racing, Joanne. I want to hear about the vibes. I need vibe report.
Okay, the vibe report. Let me see. The vibe report was awesome, right? But the difference between being in Nice and being in Kona is that in Kona, it's all-consuming triathlon. It's everybody walking around in their Lycra, pushing their bikes around the place. Everyone's walking around with a water bottle. Everyone is sweating because of the humidity. And everyone is a triathlete or a spectator or a supporter or some connection to the sport. In Nice, you're part of the city vibe. So the big city, you're walking down the street, you wouldn't know on the couple of days before registration opens that there was a triathlon on or a world championship, other than the signs of all of the world champions were up on the Promenade des Anglais. The promenade is starting to get built with the grandstands. The sound team is going in. The flags start going up. Like, the city starts to come alive through triathlon over a couple of days. And then you start to see the athletes, after registering, everyone's walking around with their gear bag. You start to see more people in Lycra. You start to see more triathletes on their TT bars cycling along on the roadways. The prom is packed full of triathlon specific runners as opposed to just regular people out for a run. But the city, it feels like it absorbs triathlon as opposed to being all about triathlon, which is actually kind of cool. And the city has hosted triathlon. You know, it's kind of the birthplace of triathlon in Europe since 1982, if memory serves me correctly. And the people of Nice just absolutely love it. Like, the vibe was amazing on race day. They did the pre-event stuff, like the swim in the Bas d'Age. There was, I don't know how many people did that. Not as many as the Hoala swim in Kona, but still lots of people took the opportunity to practice swimming in the Bay of Angels, originally called, do you know how it was called the Bay of Angels, actually?
No, I feel like
I'm going to tell you, because there used to be angel sharks. There you go, but don't tell the triathletes. There's no more anymore. And I don't know if angel sharks are dangerous, but
well, if they like Kona, I'm sure.
It's called the Bas d'Age.
You can see them.
The angel sharks. So we had that. The Parade of Nations was packed. There was the fun run, the Iron Kids. And the expo just seemed to be buzzing. Like, it was absolutely brilliant. Loads and loads of different partners there. And then Ironman had an Ironman lounge in the heart of the expo, where they had set up like the Wahoo Kicker bikes with the Ruvi course, the 500 meters to the finish of the bike course. So people were racing against each other. There was pro interviews. Who was there one day? So Sam Long was there one day. Cam Werf was there another day. Jonas Schoenberg. So there was a real hub as well as having the expo stage. There was kind of like a meet and greet opportunity for athletes. And then there was like an ice cream stand. You could have your selfies taken. It was just fun. And it was a men's race. So like, it was lots of fun. You know, you'd kind of think like some of that vibe might be kept for the women's specific race, but no, it was super. Like, it was just brilliant. So much fun.
It was interesting because I was hearing it like from over here. It seemed like it was a lot more, right? Like, it seemed like vibes were a lot higher than the last 2 years because I've been over there the last 2 years. But then I was asking people who were there and they were like, well, it is bigger, like, but it's still about the same size. And then afterwards, I felt like everybody was like, oh, this was so great. I'm so sad it's going away. And I was like, guys,
yeah, but I definitely felt like when we were like, even before I arrived in Nice, I felt like the vibe was bigger. I don't know whether it was
that's what I thought from over here.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was the social media. I don't know whether it was Ironman. We're doing a lot more.
Or whether it just took like 3 years to build up, you know. I'm kidding.
Or maybe as well, I think as well, like, it's a lot to do with the guys that were, you know, the top guys as well that were racing, like the top 10.
Sure.
That press conference as well was like, it's a serious press conference, but it was filled full of fun. You know, you had basically, you know, I don't know who said it, was it Gustav or was it Christian saying like, we're going to race together until the last half of the marathon and then we're going to hurt each other. You know, like you just had, they were throwing down grenades left, right and center to people. And there was just a good vibe. There was a real feel good factor. And there was a lot more people racing the men's race this year than there was the women's race last year.
Right. But it was about the same as 2 years ago. About the same as 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago, the men, it was like 22 or 23. And this year it was about
25 from 86.
I think it was like 20. Yeah, it was like 23 ended up starting. So maybe the short course athletes, because last week when you weren't here, we were talking about how all the short course athletes were doing it this year. So maybe they brought our
fans.
Yeah. And also, like, I suppose you have to look at the theme of the World Championships is resilience. And you look at how the racing kind of unfolded or how people had gotten to that start line. So you look at the year that Sam Laidlaw had. It was really tough start to the year, but he picked it up in the middle of the season, had a great season. You look at Gustav coming back, you know, like what he was going through, Martin van Riel with his ankle injury, and then he's on the start line. And then you look at the Olympians, including Martin, who are stepping up, and the racing just seemed to be, I remember thinking a while back that some of the short course athletes, when they came to middle distance and long distance racing, they just went gung-ho. It was like a sprint race and off they went. And I kept thinking like, wow, imagine what it will be like when the guys start racing Ironman like they're racing a sprint race. And I think that's what we got in Nice this year. But I loved it. Like, it was hard. Don't get me wrong. My side of the house is difficult and it's tiring and it's front row seat and it's a massive privilege to do it. But what you don't see is the behind the scenes stuff that we do. But it was amazing. And I am so hyped for Kona. It is my excitement. I'm literally leaving next Thursday and I'm trying to get so much work done before I go, but I can't stop looking at stuff for Kona, and it's all non-Kona related stuff I have to do before I go. And it's just like, oh, I just can't wait. I'm so excited.
We are going to talk Kona, but I did promise we would actually talk this past week in races. We won't just jump straight to Kona.
So I was in Wales. Okay. So just the women's racing in Wales.
Somebody, and I don't know if this is true or not, one of my UK friends texted me, hot take, for all the vibes of Nice and Kona, Wales has the best vibes.
Now. Listen, I'm not biased, but I've been at every race in Wales since 2012, except for last year in Nice, because the women's race was on the same weekend. Can I tell you that the goosebumps I had on the start line in Wales, in Tenby, is just incredible. And if you're listening to the show and you haven't ever watched the start of the race from the build up before the national anthem right through to the athletes getting into the water, you are missing out and you need to go watch it. And then you need to go sign yourself up to go to Ironman Wales. Now, the weather can be a little bit tricky. So we had horrendous weather for the few days before the race. In fairness to the Ironman UK team, they worked their socks off in torrential rain. If people knew what went on behind the scenes to try and get that race actually across the line on Sunday, when our bike course was flooded at midnight on Saturday night, there was rain everywhere. There was sand. It was just a mess. So to get an actual race, considering the weather conditions that we had in the build-up, was absolutely incredible. But the crowds, oh my word, there's thousands. There were 2,500 athletes on the start line from 54 countries. And I would say that there was, at a guess, 25,000 people watching the race. Now, I could be completely off, but it just felt like the finish line was packed until we closed it at 10 to 1 a.m. in the morning.
Do you remember there was a New York Times article before the pandemic about Ironman Wales, and it was about like the town where everyone's an Ironman, because it was basically because the race has been there for so long, like 50 or 60% of the locals have like done it now, which is great. It was like,
it's amazing, and they do it multiple times, and tri-clubs have been built on the fact that that Ironman is there. But the locals, like, you walk through the streets and it's a small town. Like, I don't know what sort of town to compare it with that you guys would know.
Tijuana, Hungary.
Okay, I've never been there.
just like,
but it's really, really small. It's a real quaint fishing village where people go to retire. And like, there's obviously a boom in there now because of the sport of triathlon, and people go on their holidays there. Like, as a kid, we used to get the ferry to Wales and stay in the caravan park where lots of athletes actually stay in for race weekend. But it's just amazing. It's a natural amphitheater on the beach where the race starts. And like, they talk about taming the dragon. The dragon is a symbol of Wales. And the sun was rising. I was standing, say, here, and Gosca Rock is the big rock in the middle of the water. And the sun was rising just behind the rock. And it was like the dragon. The sky was red. It was like as if the dragon was just teasing everybody and just waking up. And it was just an incredible day. Windy day, tough day. It's not an easy course. The athletes are lucky that the swim wasn't actually uphill on race day, because some days when the wind is up, it feels like the swim is uphill. But yeah, incredible race. It's definitely a bucket list race for people.
Oh yeah, it was on my. I mean, when I did Ironman, it was on my bucket list.
Yeah, and we had an amazing race. So we had a pro women's race, no pro men, so pro women and age group. And Franziska Hoffmann from Germany won the race, and what a trooper she was. She's had not a great start to the year, and last week she ran 5K on a treadmill and was like, I can't do this race. I'm not doing it. She led from gun to tape. Reminded me of Lucy Charles Berkeley in Kona when she won the World Championship. Had an amazing race day. It was so emotional crossing the line. And then Rosie Wilde finished in second, her first ever podium at Ironman.
I want to say, and Rosie is like, it's something crazy where like she's like the first female pilot in the British Army or something like that.
I'll have to look it up.
A specific type of, like, I know what it would be in the US Army. It's like,
it's a parajumper,
but I don't know what it is.
It's like a parajumper.
I
don't know what it's called. I don't have a clue. Anyway,
it's a very high level thing, and she's like the first female one in the British Army, and it's a big deal.
So we will look it up and we have it. So she did it, and she had a great race, and she took her slot for Kona next year. And then Katie Fitkin also had a super race as well to finish in third. But it's very exciting. And it was interesting to see, on the tracker, we could see that Lewis Eccleston, who was the leading man, was going through certain points. And the next person that was through was actually Franziska Hoffmann. So on the finish line, Lewis came down the line first. And then just like a few minutes later, Franziska came down the line. Yeah, but it was rammed. It was amazing. So good. Fun. Yeah. Do Ironman Wales.
Do Ironman Wales. Katie?
Well, it's like these pockets of places that just like really gravitate towards triathlon. I love. So like, I love hearing about Ironman Wales, and then like Jersey, which was also this weekend, is also similar in the sense of you're like, how is triathlon so popular here? Like how has it taken here compared to other places? And Tijuana, Hungary is one of those towns we went to, and like felt like to me in the middle of nowhere. But they have flags, or they used to, and on their light poles that just say heart and try. And it's like, I don't know. It's really neat to me seeing like you go all these places and all these like some small towns just really love it. And those are kind of my favorite places to race.
And so I've just Googled Rosie Wilde because I think we need to actually get it proper, right? So
yes.
Captain Rosie Wilde serves as a British Army officer, notably as the first woman to pass the Elite P Company All Arms Parachute Selection course, earning the Maroon Beret of the Parachute Forces. there you go now. So that's pretty incredible. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I just remember I looked this up when she was in Nice last year, and I was like, that's crazy. So, Jersey, sorry, going back to Katie and random places that are super into triathlon. Where is Jersey?
It is I always say Canary Island, but that's obviously very wrong.
It's an island.
It's
off of the UK.
Channel Island. Okay. And that race was my nemesis. Like, I've done very well there, but I would get very stressed because it's a super technical course, cold water, it's a place where when the tide is out, it is out. You can walk on the sand, like, to go to this castle that's right by the venue. So they have this ramp coming in and out of the water that goes from being like pretty moderate to like super duper steep. And depending on the time that you race, depends on whether you're like climbing a mountain, which seemed to be mostly like when I think of it. And Jean Lahair, she won another one. And I heard it was very slick. There was wet conditions. So
I saw it. Yeah, she won, and Georgia Taylor Brown was up there again. And I didn't realize when we talked to Georgia Taylor
second.
Yeah, when we talked to GTB a while ago, and she said she had 6 races in 6 weekends. I didn't realize that one of them, last a week and a half ago, was the British Gravel Championships. Like, she was just randomly going to do the British National Gravel Cycling Championships in between Super Tri. Yeah.
I liked her post on it, how not to win a race. Yeah. Like, I think she did like 80K by herself.
Yes.
I don't know. It's crazy. I know we've already talked about her 8 races in a row, or 8 weekends racing in a row. It's a lot of racing.
I also just think it's crazy to go from, gravel races are like 5 hours, 6 hours of like biking by yourself to like Super Tri.
Yeah. Everybody's challenging that idea that you go from short to long. Now everybody does everything, and it doesn't matter what order.
Everybody's good at everything all the time now.
Is that what's happening though? Is that what's going to happen? Everyone is going to do everything.
Well, I feel like people are proving that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the thing that I felt was always what was stopping people, was there was a way to do things. Or not a way to do things, but there was a way that people were doing things. And now I think that it's being challenged. And also you're seeing like the short course athletes are now like graduating to racing long course Ironman. So I think it's pretty neat. I think the one that still is interesting to me is going from like halves to super tri. Like that seems
is there anybody going? I was gonna say, is there anybody going like long course to Super Tri back and forth this year?
Like long course being
like beyond T100, like beyond
T100.
Yeah. Like there's nobody doing Ironman and Super Tri this year, right?
I don't think so. I'm like thinking in my head, but I'm gonna go with no.
I'm not saying Hayden isn't gonna try it at some point. And
like Bloomy never really did Super Tri. Yeah. None of the Norwegians. So yeah, we'd have to go through a little bit more of the start list, I think, for that.
But yeah, it's interesting with everybody going back and forth.
Well, this is kind of like a side note, but Bethany Cook was 5th in Jersey, and that was a very good debut for her. Really strong race. So just a little shout out to her.
Who is Bethany? Tell us more about Bethany.
Well, she's a GB athlete who's just like up and coming, I'd say. And that was like a breakthrough race. So I don't know. I'll go do more research on her. Or we should have her on the show so we can get her before. Get her on the up and coming.
I felt a little bit bad for Super Tri and T100 had their like relatively big races this past weekend, like crammed in between all these other massive races. And it's just like, obviously it gets hard to keep track because the T100 Spain, I feel like I legitimately didn't realize it was happening until like 3 days before it was happening, which was.
But I think as well, didn't we have the T100 race the weekend before the World Championship as well? So it's kind of like they're just so quick and back to back that you kind of lose track.
I think this was because didn't they have to like change locations in Spain, and so they had to like rearrange? And
didn't you manifest that Valencia wasn't going ahead and that they had to change? Wasn't that something that you did earlier in the year?
Katie did.
That was me. That was my man. No. Oh,
Yeah,
But they ended
be
up
good
good. It's
racing
funny though. That's what I was gonna say. Is they ended up getting like a really good start list still, and I mean Lucy and Kate walk like head to like going out on the bike head to head or bike run head to head. I don't like. I mean, we talked to Taylor Spivey last week, and like Taylor having the third fastest run was kind of surprising. Not that she's like not that she's a bad runner. She's a very, very fast runner. But like Lucy winning it on the run is kind of surprising. Not that she's a bad runner, but you're like, oh shit.
but that's the second time. Like,
Yeah, it is the
Right?
second time this year. Yeah,
yeah.
I know. She's like, you don't want to like Kona predictions, but like Kat had been my it's cats to lose, and now I'm just like Lucy looks good. She
But
looks
there's a
sharp
big-
and
not-
ready.
taken away from.
There's a big difference.
There's a big difference between
I know.
completely focused on Kona and then throwing in two
Mhm.
T100 races into your Kona prep. Like,
I think a lot of people do, and we're about to talk to Chelsea Sodaro. We heard from a lot of people do like just finish their last big block. Like they do a big block. They either like go out to Kona or they go to Lanzarote or they go somewhere and they just finish their last like massive block. They're 3 weeks out now. They're 2.5, 3 weeks out. Maybe they'll throw in like their last little race here. You know, like you throw in a last, and then they're gonna like kind of tape like they'll have like one or two more big, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a very common. So I could see how she did her last big block. She was like, I'm gonna throw in a last race, check out the engine, and then she's gonna. I'm doing the motion as if she's gonna coast, but obviously like that's not really what's. You don't actually coast into Kona.
no.
No. But I'm just saying, I think Lucy jumped in at the end of a big block of training
Yeah.
because, you know,
And she dominated. Like to go from having lost in the T100 in London last year and then win in front of the home crowd. I mean, that's going to buoy you up or buoy you up anyway. And then to take the win at the weekend, it's definitely going to do a lot for her self-confidence coming into Kona. And I think I saw somewhere where she had said that she's the fittest and healthiest she has been now for a long time. You know, obviously she missed Nice last year due to that injury. So listen, I think I think, you know, based on what we're seeing with the start list, I know we're going to talk about Kona this week and maybe next week, that like it's wide open for it is a stacked field. It is incredible.
Yeah. So Ironman, to your point. So next week we're going to do a full preview show with Rinny, and then we as our podcast will be off because Feisty will be doing From the Ground daily podcast there. Julie Moss is probably going to come. USATCO Vic's going to come. We're going to have a special guest and Joanne. I'm trying to get Joanne to come one morning. But so everybody stay tuned for all of that. But yeah, they released the official start list. There's only like 2 scratches off of the original
list.
You know what I'm saying? Like pretty much everybody who was on the list is on the list. And it is everybody. Yeah. It's everybody.
So you have
everybody.
Off the top of my head, you have 3 world champions. So you have Laura, Chelsea, Lucy. You have 3 70.3 world champions. So you have Lucy, Holly Lawrence, and Taylor Knibb, who has 3 Ironman 70.3 world championship titles herself. Isn't that right? And then
It's funny because I haven't heard anything about Nib. And so like when you said her name, I was like Nib.
the black quad, like unreal. So even even looking at Taylor Knibb, 4th in Kona on debut. She did Texas and finished in 2nd behind Kat this year, who had set the Ironman world best time for the distance in Texas. Did she win? She's won a couple of T100 races this year as well, hasn't she?
Taylor, she's won one. Yeah.
But I haven't seen much, and I haven't seen much on her socials either of her training or.
But you never see much of Taylor's socials. No.
No, but I mean in a good way. I mean that like she's training away and pure laser focus. And then the other stat I think I saw was that all the podium are back from last year, and then is it 19 of the top 20 from the Pro Series are on the.
I think that's 17 right. We also there's also like a third of the field are first time ever Ironman World Champ athletes, but that includes like Julie Darren, Solveig. Yeah. So it's like
Lisa Carter, I feel like could be quite good on this course.
It's like even if you just name those people, including our world champions, you're like, what?
Oh, Holly. I guess Holly, it's Holly Lawrence's first
Yeah,
time too.
yeah. And
so.
she's an Ironman
Wow,
70.3 world champion. I think it was like 2016, but
Yeah, I was at that after party with her.
mhm.
There's a lot. Yeah, so it's quite the.
It's gonna be some showdown.
And people, I will tell you, like texting and emailing people to like set things up for Kona. People are very, very laser focused right
Oh,
now.
really?
They they are very laser
They're
focused.
ignoring me.
They are definitely ignored, which is why I also know a lot of them just came out of their last big training block because then all of a sudden like heads resurface, And,
So how did Chelsea's last big training block go?
right. So we talked to Chelsea Sodaro. We're here from her in a second. We talked to her right after she's one of the people who went out. Like Holly also did this. A bunch of people. They went out to Kona, do a big training block, and then kind of come back home for a week or 2 weeks to just be at home again. So she was out in Kona training, and yeah, we chatted to her, and we chatted about some of the other things she's been doing this year, including like a big fundraiser for All Mothers, which Feisty, works with a lot. So let's hear from Chelsea. All right, Chelsea, welcome back from Kona. I hear you just got back from your big training camp. How was the Kona training block?
It was super fun. I love being on the island. I get off the plane and I think, I'm home. So it was great to be back. It's been a couple of years since we've been there. Had a good crew of people around me. I had like 4 dudes supporting my my camp, which was a total privilege. And it was good. Yeah, good to be on the course.
So you, obviously some people like go out and just camp out for like a month. Some people like come. So you do like a big block and then you come home before you go back out for race week, right? Is that your method that works?
Yeah, I do a block and then I go to California, in Davis, where I'm from, where Dave Scott is from too. And he seemed to have a pretty decent line on preparing for the Big Island. So I stick to that plan. And it's hot here. It's not as humid as the Big Island, but I have my like routes that I like, and it's very nostalgic for me because it's my hometown and
Sure.
some people to link up with. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, just do what Dave did, right? Works.
Right. Yeah. 6 times. Sounds pretty good.
So what has, obviously you were pretty quiet, I feel like, the first half of the year, and now we're gearing up for the big dance. What has Chelsea been up to this year? Tell us, what's been going on.
Oh, my goodness. It has been a ride this year. My daughter started, long story short, my daughter started preschool and we got every possible preschool virus. We got norovirus, we got RSV, we got every cold.
Foot and mouth, all the stuff, whatever.
We didn't get hand, foot, and mouth actually, but who knows? There'll be something to look forward to in 2026. So that definitely put a damper on my early season. I picked up, I had this brilliant idea since I hadn't raced much to do back-to-back 70.3s, and I tore my calf in the middle of those. So it's been an adventure, but it's all part of it when you're pushing the limits and
Sure.
You have a young family. So I tried to roll with it the best that I can.
I do feel like Sarah True used to always be dealing with preschool viruses too, and I feel like now with more and more. We're going to talk some more about it, but more and more pro athletes also being moms and parents. And now you also have this whole other element of.
When we had our daughter during COVID, I didn't really think, I thought, the comeback would be really hard. I thought this, the infant thing would be really hard, but I didn't think much beyond that. And I honestly didn't really envision doing this long.
Oh, like triathlon or?
Yeah, I didn't think that she'd be, a real human. Like, I'd still be competing when she was like, her own little person with her own friends. And, she's doing sports now and she goes to school. Like, I did it for whatever. I think when you're an athlete, you're so in the moment and you're just like very present and you're laser focused. And so I thought, yeah, this like newborn thing will be hard, but I didn't really consider that I would be competing through my mid to late 30s. But here we are, and it's an adventure and a privilege.
That's funny. I feel like that is an athlete thing, right? You're like, don't think beyond this age station, don't think beyond this mile. And so you're like, oh, who knew?
Like, here we are, and she's 4.5 now.
But you also obviously, you and I talked like earlier this summer, and you also launched this big event to raise money for All Mothers, speaking of. It sounds like it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm stoked. This has been, I guess, a long time in the making. It's a brainchild of a long ride with my good friend Kate Courtney, mountain bike world champion. And we come up with crazy ideas when we're training together because we're both dreamers and we both like really want to leave a positive impact on our respective sports. And I thought, how cool would it be to get, some of my favorite people together in a beautiful place and eat great food and drink wine and, ride our bikes before drinking the wine. Um, so I finally am launching this year. It's called Unlocking Yes. It's going to be in St. Helena, California. We will have a beautiful bike ride through wine country. We're going to have this epic catered dinner from chef Matt Occarino, who is a San Francisco-based chef. He's incredible. We're going to have a panel moderated by Naomi Clarkson, who's the head of marketing at Momentous. She's a personal mentor of mine in the space. And the panel will be with me, Alicia Montano, founder of For All Mothers, and Magdalena Boulay, who is my longtime running coach and very dear friend. And it's all to benefit For All Mothers, which is an amazing cause. They give grants to female athlete moms. They put lactation stations and childcare at races like the New York City Marathon, for instance. And they also consult with businesses on best maternity and family leave practices. So our values are quite aligned. We've done some work together in the past and just so strongly believe in their mission. And I want to do something more than just talk about these things, right? Sure. Like I spend a lot of time talking to awesome people like you about, my values and the things I care about and how things should be better. But I guess I wanted to do a little more to actually contribute to making them better.
So this is a big fundraiser for them. That'll be, and it seems like it's in October. It's after Kona. Seems like a good time of year to go to Napa post Kona.
It should be beautiful there. My partners have actually really gone all in.
Oh yeah, I did see there's a lot of giveaways too. Yeah,
the goodie bags are unhinged. Like everyone's going to be getting a Theragun mini. They're going to get on shoes. They're going to get sunglasses. They're going to get a kit from a jersey from Rin Republic. We're going to give away a kicker. We're going to give away Roco wetsuits. We're going to give away an Ironman entry. So it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's cool. The Ironman entry is like a nice bonus there.
I know. That's from Roca. They're an Ironman partner, and
sweet.
Yeah, to help somebody else get on the start line.
It's interesting because obviously, on the one hand, right? Like, I mean, when you won 16 months postpartum, 14, 18,
18 months,
18. There we go. It was like a really big deal, and now we're seeing like an Allison Felix, was a really big deal, and we were seeing more and more and more and more months. But on the other hand, like on the other end of the spectrum, the age group is just trying to get out there. Like, there's still so many barriers. Like, I was just talking to For All Mothers about like the motherhood penalty, and there was like reports that just came out from Strava, and there's still so many barriers to getting moms like just out back on the start line. Why is that? I'm sure you've thought about this a lot. I have
thought about it a lot, and I mean, what I can speak most closely to is my own experience. And we had an impossible time getting childcare. And I think this is quite universal in the US. It's forcing a ton of women out of the workforce because they can't find reliable childcare for those, first few years of their kids' lives. And there's a huge financial penalty for that. I think like moms are making 70 cents on the dollar compared to their male counterpart, something like that. And yeah, it's really unfortunate when we're forced to choose between, making sure that our kids are safe and our careers that we oftentimes love, right? So there's a lot of work to be done.
There is, it's true. And I know For All Mothers, obviously you said they're going to have lactations. I mean, they're going to have a lactation station in Kona. They do it at New York Marathon. I was just talking to them recently though about like, they're also still trying to document and just like show that there is this ongoing. Because I think there's a sense that like, well, isn't it better now? Chelsea, isn't it fine now?
Yeah. I think the reason that my story resonated with so many people when I won Kona was because of like how hard it was to get there. And even if you do, manage to quote figure it out or like have success, the physical, mental, and emotional toll of doing that is so huge. And I mean, there's a massive mental health crisis with moms. Like the burden is very high for all of the like physical and mental toll it takes to raise young children. And that, that's not just for like the first couple months that you have a newborn, right? In my profession, I think so often we're afraid of, losing everything when we see that positive pregnancy test. We don't know how our sponsors are going to support us. We don't know how long it'll take us to get back to peak fitness. And oftentimes that means we rush it and we suffer, major pelvic floor injuries, or we have stress fractures because we're trying to breastfeed and, train like we used to. And I just think we need more support and more infrastructure to, help us navigate this very precious time. I mean, like having kids is the most, basic natural human function. And it should not be this complicated.
It's quite complicated.
It's quite complicated. Yeah.
What advice do you give? I am sure like, moms in triathlon come and they're like, how do you do it? Like what advice do you tell kind of your regular age group mom just trying to make it all work?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Like as athletes, we're so laser focused on our goals. And, if I were to give advice to my former self navigating the like newborn stage, already thinking about getting back to racing, I would just have a lot more grace and patience with myself. It's really a long game. We talk a lot about this, bounce back from pregnancy. It's not about, coming back as quickly as possible. It's about returning to activity in a really safe and healthy way. And that's super individual, but it requires listening to your body, oftentimes like seeking consultation from pelvic floor PTs, OBs, and just making sure that you're taking care of yourself for the long run. I think for me, it really took 18 months for me to feel like myself again. And that takes a lot of patience. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like, try to find a support system, whether that be like a community of moms, family. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because we are not meant to raise our children in isolation. We are meant to raise our children in community, especially when we're trying to pursue really hard things in the workforce or on the playing field.
Do you? There are a lot of moms competing on the Pro Start line this year. We were joking about just having like putting all the kids together in childcare, right? Sky's and Holly's and yours and mine. Have you guys all talked to each other? Do you guys reach out? And because I know there's some comparing notes that goes on for sure.
Yeah, usually I will reach out to my colleagues when they announce their pregnancies and just make myself available. And some people take me up on that.
Sure.
And some people don't. But I guess I just like to. I'm happy to be a resource for anyone who is, choosing family or thinking about it down the road, because there are more examples now, but there's not a ton of like history in how to navigate this process.
Oh, for sure. I think from the outside, it's like, oh yeah, haven't they figured it out? And then you get in and you're like, no, they have not figured it out. We are all just making it up.
I mean, isn't that motherhood, right? We're all just kind of winging it.
Kona. So I'm assuming you're looking forward to Kona. It's going to be the last like all women's. What are you feeling about the vibes going into the Big Island?
Yeah, I don't have like a whole lot of expectations for this year. It's been so up and down for me, but I love racing there. I think it's going to be, the competition is going to be amazing and it'll be great. I think the island really enjoys the vibe when it's an all women's field. And so I will definitely like relish in that experience. I loved just the camaraderie we all felt in 2023. And it will be, a beautiful celebration of this side of our sport.
Awesome. Is there anything else you're, looking forward to? Apparently you thought you were going to be done racing by now, but I assume now you still have some big goals left, right? So what else are you?
I feel like really reinvigorated. I've made a ton of changes in the last year or so. And I think sometimes we make changes and we think that new stimulus will immediately give us a boost. And I maybe got a little bit of that with Nice last year, but it takes a little time to adapt to a new system. And my coach, Neil Henderson, has been like super patient with me. He's a brilliant guy. And I think we're starting to see the benefits of some of the work we've done together, but I still feel like I'm getting better. Who knows? We can't know exactly when that will shine through, but I feel like a pretty good version of myself. And I think I have a few more years in this game to keep exploring what that means.
Awesome. And you're having fun, right?
I'm having fun. We were in Kona walking at Lava Java, and I turned around and I had like I said, these 4 dudes out there supporting me, and my coach and Steve, my husband, and Santiago Paz, who's a training partner of mine in Boulder and came out for the camp, and then Conrad Rodas, who is an amateur triathlete. He's been doing some like social media video stuff for me, and I was like, how freaking cool is this? That like these 4 incredible men are supporting a female athlete. Like, what a dream. Like the vibes are great. We're having fun. I think we can all take ourselves too seriously a lot of the time, but I feel like really lucky that, I'm in one piece right now and feeling optimistic.
Awesome. Well, good luck. And we'll be cheering for you. So
thanks so much, Kelly. I love you guys.
Hey Feisties, Sarah Gross here. We are so excited to be back with you here on our new, shiny, Feisty Triathlon podcast. Thank you for listening. I am so glad you're here. I want to tell you about one of the Feisty team's favorite recovery products, Prevenex's Neurify Plus. I use the chocolate flavor myself every day to support my strength training. At Feisty, we only support brands that our team uses and products that deliver results we have seen for ourselves. Prevenex's Neurify Plus is one of the best tasting plant-based and vegan shakes I've tried, and trust me, I've tried a lot. It contains balanced protein, carbs, and fat with comprehensive, high-quality micronutrients to help fuel your health. It also contains probiotics and digestive enzymes, so it's super easy to digest and doesn't give you that bloaty, gassy kind of effect that other protein products can produce. Unlike most supplement brands, Prevenex tests everything with pharmaceutical-grade precision, and they also offer a 100% money-back guarantee. So try Neurify Plus or any Prevenex product today, and you get 15% off your first order with the code FEISTYTRY at Prevenex.com. That's FEISTYTRY for 15% off at Prevenex.com. The link will be, as always, in the show notes.
Hate indoor training? We have great news. We have partnered with Wahoo to offer you a special deal on the Wahoo Kicker Run, a treadmill that will convert even the most diehard treadmill haters. Wahoo, the same company that revolutionized indoor cycling training, has literally broken the treadmill mold with this machine. With its special run-free mode, you can just hop on it and run. It naturally adjusts the pace as you do, just like you would outdoors. Speed up, slow down, it moves with you as you do. It can also simulate the terrain by subtly tilting the angle from side to side, so again you feel like you're really running, not locked into an unnatural pace or place. Or you can lock it in or even program workouts, so it does put you through your training paces, including both inclines and declines. And it's stunningly quiet, even when you're humming along full tilt. Even if you love training outdoors, the Kicker Run is a game changer for year-round training. No more trying to navigate ice-covered roads, awful weather, or worrying about going out in the dark. We love it, and we think you will too, so check it out. Click the link in the show notes and use the code FEISTY, all caps, one word, FEISTY, to get a free Headwind smart fan valued at $300 with the purchase of a Wahoo Kicker Run. That's code FEISTY to get a free fan when you purchase a Wahoo Kicker Run. We will drop a link in the show notes to make it a snap.
All right. So as Chelsea kind of said, she's had an up and down year. Lots of, illnesses, some injuries. I just feel like you don't count anybody out though, right? Like, no, never.
No, Martin Van Riel was 4th.
Yeah.
With Because sometimes, like we talked about, I feel like it takes the pressure off and you more can go into it being like, I'm just going to see what I can do. I'm just going to see what I like, have some fun. And so I hope she does that.
qualified really late as well. I think she did say she was having fun though. She's enjoyed the process.
Mm-hmm. I think she has like her husband's like not a social media person either, and like I think she I think she had this whole group of guys out with her in Kona, and they were actually just like having a lot of fun, but you don't hear about them or like see them on the YouTubes.
She's very focused as well. Like she's laser focused.
Yes. Her and I were also talking. I mean, because there are so many people who have just had kids racing this year, and obviously we talked a bunch about like it just varies so much, right? Like, I mean, I think like obviously she won a year and a half after having her kid, and then I was talking to Sky Munch, and we're going to talk to her in Kona, and Sky is having a much more similar kind of return that I'm having, even though obviously Sky is a billion times faster than me, where it's kind of like, well, let's hope this is fit enough, right? Like, let's just see how it goes. So I feel like it varies so much.
There's also been quite a lot of people, quite a lot of professional athletes who've had babies at this period of like, say, I think she said Skylar is 4 years. She was born during COVID, so she's probably nearly 5 now. But I feel like there's a lot of women, female professional triathletes who got pregnant and are all in that space now of having babies, whereas 10 years ago, I didn't feel like it was the same. And it was quite interesting to listen to her, about the supports or maybe the lack of supports that are there for mums who are trying to come back into the sport as professional triathletes. And I'm sure, Katie, like you've 2 babies now as well. Well, Kimball is a little bit older than Josie, but the stuff that we as non-professional athletes, me and all of the age group athletes, wouldn't really understand. It was interesting to get her insight from a lot of that stuff from a professional athlete perspective.
Yeah, because I think it's really hard to just understand how it's going to feel or what it's going to look like until you're actually in it. And like Kelly was saying, it's just such a diverse experience for every mom who's coming back. I mean, every athlete has their own experience, but then you add motherhood into it, and it's just like how everyone manages it is so variable, and like whether you have your family be part of it or childcare or like try to do it on your own, it's uncharted territory still.
And interesting
in like a routine,
but then even the basics of your body, like how soon is too soon to get back on your bike, to go back running. She mentioned something about pelvic floor and about when you're breastfeeding and trying to get enough nutrients into your body, but then you're trying to train as well at the same time, and like where's the fine line, or where is that line that you draw in the sand that's like, actually my baby is priority number 1, but my job is also a priority, and I'm in this different situation than regular people.
I think bone stress injuries are a huge problem. Like, I mean, just like statistically, we do know that like 4 people put like, because of the energy expenditure and the calcium loss, and then you try to push it. I will also say though, I'd say like, I don't know if pet peeve is the right word, because like that makes it sound small. It's a wild anger of mine that.
Whoa, everybody,
like,
step back.
Yeah.
Step back, everybody. Here we go.
Well, I'm just like this whole like, oh well, everybody like, we don't even know the basics, right? Like, I think if, for example, it has now become clear that like I had some complications, and that's partially why I wasn't able to run as quickly, but because it was like, well, everybody's different. Just chase your own journey. It took like much longer to be like, no, like actually like something was wrong coming out of your C-section, because we don't have these like, well, you should be able to, like, you know what I mean? We don't have this like list or this expectation, and there wasn't a lot of like guidance. There was kind of like, well, you're still healthier and fitter than 90% of the population. You're like, no, but like, I like still am having trouble walking, right? Like,
well, because like I feel like the general guidelines, if you were to go to a doctor and say like you wanted to start running, they'd be like, you should wait longer. Like almost, like that's been at least my experience with both Kimball and Josie. And so I feel like to have somebody who's knowledgeable about like wanting to come back sooner, and when it's a good introduction to do so, is like, it's not commonplace to find a doctor that's kind of
like to have the knowledge, the sports science knowledge, because like there's all like, if you literally did the recommendations and you were at like an elite level of any kind, you will detrain, right? If you did like the pregnancy health exercise recommendations, you will get, way less fit, and then you all right like.
Yeah.
But there isn't, so there, it's just like, there isn't the doctor, there is not that kind of like similar, there's like maybe 5 people in the country who have both the OB expertise and the sports science expertise to be able to be like, oh, actually, this is what you should do if you're used to running. So,
Yeah. It's still challenging.
Still challenging. Yeah.
She's doing loads of things as well with her,
with her, yeah.
I can't remember, did she call it a retreat or her week away or?
It's like she's putting on like a fundraising weekend, kind of one of those charity event retreats, like you see, I don't know. I mean, we see them a lot out here. People do them like to raise money for a charity. And so they're doing it in Napa, kind of 2 weeks after Kona with For All Mothers. And so we've obviously been helping them a little bit because For All Mothers used to be called And Mother, they're the same organization. It just changed names. And so And Mother, For All Mothers, it's a big kind of supporting childcare at races, lactation stations at races. They've been working a lot with Ironman too to bring, like, they're going to bring a lactation station to Kona this year. And as I know, they've been talking about kind of bringing more support to these women's races. So yeah, it sounds like it'll be a cool event.
Very cool.
You can do one of those like big charity, drink wine for charity.
Do you feel like, because I feel like you see more of both sides, professional and age groupers, do you feel like age groupers tend to embrace coming back as moms more than professional? Like, who's like, is it more professionals? What's the chicken and the egg here? I guess like more professionals are doing it, so then more age groupers, or do you feel like age groupers have always been doing it?
No, age
Because
groupers
I
have
feel like-
not. Okay, I'm like, obviously there are
Okay.
people out there. This is not all, right? Like, of course there are people who come back. But no, 100% this has been led by professional women. Like when we had like Allison Felix or Alicia Montano or like these women setting an example, that has 100% changed the narrative. And I know like for some of us now, we're like, okay, I don't need to hear any more stories about somebody setting a world record 6 months after giving birth. But those are still a big deal, right? Like, so that those people doing those things then shaped, and Kara Goucher and like, you know what I'm saying? Like all the people who
Yep.
that then shaped the narrative and changed like expectations and understandings, which has then trickled down. And now you're getting like more and more and more age group regular athletes being like, oh, well, if that person can run a marathon and set a world, like if Kara Goucher can come back and, do the Olympic trials, like maybe I can run a 10K, right? Like, and so I think that's been a huge, huge shift. And now I think we're kind of just starting to see almost if you're going to go ups and downs in like societal changes, now we're just starting to see the like, okay, now maybe like there are some people who are overdoing it and they're getting injured. And now we need to like talk about like what is healthy return and like how do we support them, and we need childcare. But it was that first big wave that changed kind of what people think.
Yeah.
I also think as well that like there's a big difference between the training that a professional athlete is going to do versus an age group athlete. So if you were a fit, healthy, strong professional triathlete who was training 40 hours a week and you detrain to 25 hours a week, that's very different to an age group athlete who's juggling a job and training 25 hours a week or 20 hours a week, dropping back to 15 hours a week when they're pregnant, and then expecting to be able to do similar training to what they did before they were pregnant or before they've had the baby. So I think there probably is a lot of education needed around what an actual regular body needs of an athlete who is training a certain amount per month, who's not comparing themselves to their idol who's a pro triathlete, because you'll see women going out and they're going out too soon after having a baby, and they're just not doing things right for themselves, I think, in the long run. And that's my thing that I see, is that we've people returning way too quick now, thinking, I was fit when I was training.
It's probably who you know.
Maybe,
too.
yeah.
It's always one of those things where you're like, in general, the population is not returning to activity too quickly. In general, the population does not do it. It's definitely a who you know.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe I'm hanging around,
like,
But
not everyone's doing Ironman.
No, but not even Ironman. Like getting back out on your bike or running a 10K 4 weeks after you've had a baby. Like, for me, I think it's cracked. But I'm not a mom.
It totally depends.
So how do I know?
No, I think it totally depends on the person, right? So I was not running 4 weeks. I was not running for like 4 months at all, period. So, but there's some people who are. So
okay.
Anyway,
What are we talking about next?
but we will talk way more about Kona.
Okay.
Lots more about Kona. Except first, you guys, there is another World Championship this weekend, the Xterra World Championship. I want to give it a shout out. It is the last year in Italy, and then it's coming back to the US. It'll be in New Mexico next year. And we talked to Selene Bowen earlier this year, who is the 3-time champ, but she's been racing on the road this year. But she is jumping back in after not racing Xterra to try and get her 4th title. And that would be, there's not very many people who have 4 titles. That is, it's like Flora. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So rooting for her. You also have some, like Alana Siffert, who's been doing racing on the road, is racing Xterra World Champs. Barbara Veros is going to race. Yeah.
I wonder how many years she's done it. She's been doing Xterra a long time.
Barb's been doing a lot of things a long time.
That's true.
Yeah. She's like an icon, right?
She was just, because what was she just in? I just saw her name in something. Now I can't think of which race it was, whether it was a half, whether it was World Triathlon or what.
She definitely raced some Xterra earlier this year, so.
Interestingly, I was actually looking up of some of Alana Siffert's results just because I knew we were going to be talking about the Xterra. So in 9 races she started this year in triathlon, she has won 5 of them, and she's never finished lower. She's won out of the 9 races she started. She's won 5 of them, and she's never finished lower than 10th place in a race this year. So I think Selene might have some competition.
Interesting, yeah. They do air it, so you could watch it. Even though I think it's like middle of the night here. We also have a Feisty person who is racing the age group race and has been doing like coverage for us. So you can like follow along with, if you want to get started, how you can qualify. And earlier this year, I talked to Hannah Otto, who is the U.S. mountain bike marathon national champion. She's won Leadville. She just did these FKTs, like 7-hour FKTs on the mountain bike. But she got her start in Xterra as a kid. And so I just thought that was super interesting. So I talked to her about what kind of drives her to do this and like how she got started. How do you get into that? Like, how did you decide, like, this is the one for me? I want to do the like 6-7 hour races.
Yeah, I think it's been I've been competing in endurance sports for 20 years.
Right.
I'm 29 years old. So like that's a large percentage of my life. And I feel like I've kind of gone through a lot of the different types of mountain biking or endurance sports in general. You know, I started in triathlon, I did Xterra racing, I transitioned to the mountain bike where I did race the XCO, the shorter races, and then I again transitioned to these longer events. And for me, it's just been following my heart with what I love to do. And for me, these longer races, at least right now in my career, have offered me so much. For me, it really expands off the bike, I think is what it is. Because in these long races, and not to say you can't get this in the short races, but for me in these long races, you experience so much. You take yourself to such depth. You go through first, second, third wins, and you start to discover that when you just don't give up, that's when the magic happens. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to feel good. You just have to keep going. And I feel like I have gained so much in life learning how to do these hard things. And I feel like that's what mountain bike has given me.
What is you've done like the big kind of long distance, like Leadville, right? You won that. You've done gravel racing, which is obviously getting hot now. We're also talking about like the UCI World type series and these FKTs, which is like other. What's your favorite out of all these kinds of mountain biking events?
Probably whatever I've done most recently.
Okay.
It's the reason I do all of them is because they all sort of scratch their own itch.
Sure.
You know, for me, I think on the competitive side, I think that competing against the best in the world is what allows you to continue to elevate yourself.
And so I feel like if I ever get to a start line and look around and think, oh, I've got this in the bag, I am on the wrong start line, because that is not stretching me.
Sure.
So I love competing at the highest level. And I think there's something to be said for the UCI, for the World Championships, because that is what that means. But we're also lucky enough to have the Lifetime Grand Prix right now, which is also certainly taking things to a whole new level as well. And that is an opportunity in the US. And then the FKTs give me this sort of different outlet that allows me to stretch on my own, which I think is really special, because in the races, there's so much strategy, and there's so many things that are out of your control, right? If someone attacks, or if someone crashes into you, or this, that, or the other, the FKTs, it's just me and the bike and the trail. And there's no reason that every pedal stroke can't be as fast as possible. And in so many ways, that takes me back to my younger self, who at 9 years old, at 10 years old, I wasn't strategizing at the competition. I was just sprinting off the start line, seeing what I could do.
I do want to talk about how you got started this. So, I mean, like you said, doing endurance sports for 20 years when you're 29 is a long time. I understand that you started running and then you were like, triathlon, Xterra, that's what I want to do. There's not Xterras for kids everywhere. How was this just like luck of the draw that there happened to be one where you grew up? Like, how did you get into that?
Well, I'm very lucky that I had a family and a mom that, would tolerate these crazy ideas. But yeah, at 9 years old, I was a soccer player, which is much more normal for that age group. And I would always ask my mom to get me to the field early or to stay late so I could run laps. And eventually she was like, just want to go to a running race? Like, is running what you want to do? And so she took me to this local, 1 mile kids fun run. And there was an expo. And in the expo, there was a booth advertising a local triathlon. And I pointed at that and I said, that's what I want to do. I was like, oh my gosh, what even is this? What is this sport? Triathlon wasn't even as big 20 years ago as it is now. So especially back then, it's like, what? But I went to a kids camp. I learned how to do triathlon, and I raced triathlon from 9 years old to 20 years old. So for 11 years. And in that time, just through, it was totally foreign. Neither of my parents did it.
Okay.
And so we just go online, type in, triathlons, and eventually one of Xterra's came up. I started doing some of the Xterra runs. Like you said, it's not for kids. So I had to wait until I turned, I think it was 14 to be race age 15 to start doing the official Xterra triathlons. But the second I turned that age, I was signing up for the Xterra triathlons and going around to the different West Championship, East Championship, and doing the whole series.
Wow. Yeah. because I think of kids triathlons and they're usually in a pool and they run around the park,
Yes. I got really, I don't want to say tired of that, because I definitely did that whole circuit. I did the ITU stuff, but it felt like for me, and I think it's funny now looking back and also looking at where I am now and kind of seeing how, despite my journey taking many different twists and turns, I feel like in many ways the youngest me and the now me have remarried in this just realm of adventure. Like you said, why the marathon? Because as a kid, like you're saying, these things are in pools, these in parks. And I was always like, no, I want to do, at 10 years old, I was doing my first lake swim. And my mom was standing there on the side of the lake, like, oh my gosh, which one of these little dots in the wetsuit is my daughter? I was telling her I wanted to escape from Alcatraz. And before I graduated from high school, I had swam from Alcatraz to shore 8 times. I always wanted to do sort of that next level adventure style racing. And so I think that's really what
Okay.
drove me in the sport.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, that would make sense if you then like want to try more and more off-road, more and more adventure. When you were learning how to mountain bike, you came up out of Nika, right?
Yeah, I raced. So I started racing triathlon early. And then, as a part of that, I thought, well, the best way that I can be the fastest in triathlon is to race and train with people who specialize in those sports. And so in high school and in college, I swam on the swim team. I ran on the cross country and track team. And then I also rode for the cycling team in college. And in high school, I raced in the NICA high school mountain bike leagues.
Okay. And so NICA is pretty well formed out here, right? And I assume that they do a lot of like teaching you how to get started. Now, what do you tell people who don't have like a how to get started equivalent, like how they should get started? Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
I know.
Well, it's an interesting question because it's like, do you want to get started racing or do you want to get started riding? Because I think those are two different things. And so I think my first encouragement would be just start riding and just start having fun.
Okay.
Because that, I mean, as cliche as it is, that is what will keep you in the sport. And I think that's the piece that I long for the most for all these kids, because I think in youth athletics right now, we're definitely hitting like a fork in the road where there's the most opportunity there has ever been for youth mountain biking and probably across the board youth sports, which is incredible. But with immense opportunities sometimes comes immense pressure.
Sure.
And so kids are starting to feel like, well, I only get to keep doing this if I'm winning. It's only quote unquote worth it if I'm winning. And of all the sports out there, the beautiful thing about mountain biking is that's not true, because it's not football where if you're not the best, you sit on the sideline, or if you're not good enough, you don't play in college. And once college is over, there's no outlet. Mountain biking is forever. It's a lifelong sport. And so I think that's the most important piece, is creating the foundation of finding, what do you love about this? What makes it the most fun? And initially latching onto that. For me, it was the adventure, for seeing new places, for going to new trails. For many people, it's the community, for finding people you love riding with, for creating friendships. And whatever it is that draws you in, highlight that and hang on to it.
Here at Feisty, we're excited to be teaming up with Xterra to help get more women onto the trails and into off-road triathlon. Xterra offers a full schedule of off-road triathlons all around the world, from super sprint to Olympic distance, youth races. Their events feature open water swimming, mountain biking, trail running, with a focus on the welcoming community and beautiful destinations. And I want to be clear, anyone can do an Xterra. You can do an Xterra. Even if you've never mountain biked before, other athletes are ready to get you to that finish line and are even known to offer a helping hand during races. In fact, we'll be doing a series of Feisty podcasts and videos with some tips and ways to get started. Stay tuned. You'll also recognize some of the most iconic names in triathlon who got their start in Xterra. Flora Duffy, Mel McQuaid, Leslie Patterson, and next year the World Championship race will return to the US with a new home in New Mexico. And most importantly, Xterra offers equal prize money, recognition, and spots to that World Championship. So if you're looking for a new adventure, hit the dirt and find a race to try at xterraplanet.com. That's XTERRA planet.com.
Hi, it's Kelly O'Mara.
And Sarah Gross, your other feisty friends.
And we host the newish Feisty podcast, The Feist, covering everything in women's sports that you need and want to know every week.
And the things you didn't know you wanted to know.
In one Feisty hour, it's the only women's sports podcast covering all your favorite sports: cycling, running, CrossFit, rugby, the Olympics, the things that other podcasts don't cover.
And giving you the stories behind the scenes, of course.
And why should these Feisty listeners listen to the Feist, Sarah?
Well, okay, Kelly, you know how women's sports in the last couple years have reached this like inflection point?
So I hear, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're, most people are kind of aware that like women's sports are growing, especially on the side of basketball, soccer. And it's really hard. Like I really want to be able to keep up with that movement and what's happening and the things that are growing and the behind the scenes information and like the business side and how the revenue's growing in different leagues. But I don't want to have to watch a ton of sports every week. Not that I don't love watching women's sports. But there's just a lot of it now, right? So
there are a lot of sports.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our podcast is a way to like keep up on the movement of women's sports while you are able to still pick and choose the ones that you want to watch yourself. So that's why people should listen.
Because we watch them.
Because we
and
watch
tell
them
you
for you.
about them.
Yes. And we're fun.
And about everything. And we're fun. And we're going to do all the research behind the scenes, tell you everything you need to know. Listen to The Feist every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcast. You can follow or subscribe to The Feist on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube.
Regular listeners of Feisty podcasts will not be surprised to learn that for decades, running shoes have been researched, tested, and designed for men. Brands have relied on the shrink it and pink it approach to sell male shoes to female customers. But women's feet differ from men's in numerous ways. We have increased toe splay, higher arches, a more narrow heel, a lower ankle bone, upward angled toenails, and a rounded instep that is smaller in circumference. And because of all those differences, that is why we need HEDAs. HEDAs has unlocked the science behind women's biomechanics through dedicated research and creates running shoes specifically designed for women. So that means a lower heel collar to reduce rubbing on women's ankle bones, plate design to provide heel stability and to decelerate foot impact, rounded instep creating a snug fit through the middle to match the curvature of a woman's foot. Every feature is designed to give you more power and less problems. Breathability that lets your feet breathe easily mile after mile, plus fast drying tech that doesn't allow sweat to slow you down, adaptive stretch that molds to your foot like it was made just for you. I personally have been running in HEDAs for over 2 years, and from the first time I tried them, I knew that there was something different. They really felt like they were made for me. The shoes are super light but provide good cushioning, and they really support my very high arches. I honestly didn't think I would notice the difference after running for so many years in male model shoes, but I really did. So try HEDAs for yourself today. Go to hedas.com and use the code STAYFEISTY for 20% off. That is Stay Feisty for 20% off at hedas.com. The link will, as always, be in the show notes.
I like the idea she has that, you just have to like, it's just one thing that it was running that led to swimming, that led to Xterra, that led to mountain biking, and you just have to follow the adventure and like find your fun. So what you guys is the fun thing for you right now? What keeps you doing stuff? You're like,
Right now, I'd say Kimball. Because I'm really like coming back into trying to do activity again, and like I need a buddy. Like the other day, I was like, Googling while I was walking, trying to find like who would want to run with me at 5:45 a.m. or 6 a.m. because I don't have anybody here that I know of yet. Anyone listening, anyone in Cary, North Carolina wants to run with me at 6 a.m. 5:45. I'll go anytime early. This is my meetup. This is my posting now. But anyways, Kimball is really like ride my bike with him, or really anyone who will get me out the door. That's my why. So I guess it's my team too that I coach, because I was riding the bike with them the other day while they're running.
oh, you were?
Mm-hmm. I know, it's my first. I think, what was it? Sunday was the first time that I gave Josie to somebody else, and I rode the bike during a training session.
How did that feel?
It felt good. It felt like, I don't know. I have a hard time giving her away. So, But it was nice to be like with them on a session, because that's always been my experience as an athlete. So finally to be in it with them, and also bonus points for being physical activity for me.
I love it. Love it.
Joanne, what's your fun thing? You still doing your swims on Tuesday night?
The aquathons, yeah, but I think it comes back to the people. I think it's all about the people. I think I'm 110% a people person, and I do it for the fun and the social aspect. And the bonus is that the sport that we love has races in fabulous places, and that we get to travel and find new fun and new friendships. And yeah, like even just thinking about the race in Nice, I set up a WhatsApp group for all the Irish racing in Nice. I do the same for Marbella, same for Kona, but like the WhatsApp messages were flying in the group, and then we all met for drinks on the Monday night, and they were exchanging war stories and, you know, just how the race got on. And it was just the camaraderie between people and the community. I think that's for me. Don't get me wrong.
Did you guys go to the Irish?
We went to the Irish pub.
Did you go to the Irish pub?
Manolan's.
Okay.
But don't get me wrong. I mean, I do get peopled out. I do like closing the door at the end of the day and just going, okay, I just need 10 minutes on my own. But the people are what I love, I think. And then bonus for physical activity. There we go. Albeit at a much slower pace than Katie Severus.
Oh, no, not right now. Not right now.
Diane?
Yeah, okay. I will say I finally got back on trails running, and I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. Like, it doesn't suck anymore. Like, trails are kind of my like where running's enjoyable again, and it feels like a real, it feels good. It feels like running, which is probably why I keep like wanting to sign up for trail races. Why I'm like, it just seems like way more fun right now, and then I do find running like roads around a neighborhood very boring. And so I was like, oh yeah, back on the trails.
Do you find that trail running allows you to take your eye off the pace a little bit more, like with gravel biking? So instead of going out on your road bike and you're under pressure to have watts or power, whatever, blah, 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 certain time on a distance. Whereas you go out on the gravel bike and it's just like, this is just an adventure. It's fun. Is it the same with trail running?
Probably. We have these are all trails I've run so many times. I know how long it takes to get. So, you know how you're like, oh, this is my hour run. And then you're like, well, I'm not running an hour yet, but you're like, this is my 30-minute run. And then you're like, oh, it took 40 minutes. That's okay. But I do live in like a capital. Yeah, I'm like, it was probably windy. Yeah. But I do live in like a great like a capital of trail running. So that is what I think is just like super, super fun right now. So
cool.
Mm-hmm. All right. Katie has to run, and we will be back next week. Rinny is joining us for a pre-Kona race week show. And then stay tuned for all of the Feisty Kona fun. We will have like a schedule going up, but you can come find us at the Kona Canoe Club every morning of race week.
Woohoo.
So we will see you there.
Buckle up.